responsibility to the planning board, and it's still there.
And I'm sorry?
The ordinance is still on our books. It's
Okay,
still viable, it's still active.
Then I can go ahead and reenact this committee.
Yes.
Yes, thank you
So-
very much.
Can I step in with that? That would be the same process then we do with all the committees in the beginning of the year, and what Tommy did with the task force would be the same thing, same online submission. Because I believe a resident sent an email in today talking about executive committee. I think they were mistaken for what the mayor's talking about, a citizens committee. I'm guessing. I don't know if that was clarified.
Correct.
Thank you. So the other thing that I really think that this has been mentioned a couple times, so I think that I need to bring this up, and I need to move forward as well. I would like to move forward with an ethics committee. The ethics committee was in existence in 1996 to 2003, and then it was disbanded because of expenses. In the 6 years that the committee was there, it spent $14,000 at that time, or there was an average of $2,500 spent for legal fees. If we spent $5,000 a year, it would be 10 cents per resident. I believe that the ethics committee we should reenact it. We had one, it was disbanded, and I believe that it's important to move forward, and I would like to give you my plan. Just give me 1 second. So I think what we need to do is we need both public and people who work in the township that are trusted by the public. The viability and the stability of the representative and the democracy depend upon the public's confidence in the integrity of its elected and appointed representatives. Whenever the public perceives conflict between the private interests and the public duties of the government officer or employee, that confidence is imperiled. Governments have the duty both to provide their citizens with standards by which may determine whether the public duties are being faithfully performed, and to appraise their officers and employees of behavior which is expected of them while conducting their public duties. To achieve the legislative goals and statute set forth the minimum ethical standard expected from all local government officials and or employees, and grants a municipality the power to create municipal ethics board. It consists of 6 members who are residents of the municipality, 2 of whom shall be public members. The members of the committee shall be appointed by the governing body of the municipality. The members shall be chosen by virtue of their known and consistent reputation for integrity and their knowledge of local government affairs. No more than 3 members of the ethics board shall be of one party. Members of the ethics board shall serve without compensation, but shall be reimbursed by the municipality for necessary expenses incurred in the performance of their duties under the act. What is this going to accomplish in my mind? If we reestablish the municipal ethics board for Howell, I think we could do 3 things. Provide residents with the confidence that decisions that we make by the elected officials and the appointed officials of the town are the decisions free from a preconceived or actual conflict of interest. It provides a bipartisan board of local residents to review allegations of conflict and guides the enforcement of the existing law. And it saves the township tax dollars by providing a means for local residents to report conflict that cost the taxpayers money and streamline the response time by removing the delay from Trenton's bureaucracy. In my opinion, I hope that the rest of council agrees to move forward with this. I think that in this time, given so much social media and so many, I've seen such nasty things to residents and comments to residents from people who are in political arenas is despicable. And I think it needs to be addressed. And so I look forward to my council members, because this is not a partisan issue. This is an issue for everybody. So we should all hope and expect that we have respect for our council, for and from, as well as our citizens. So I do hope that council thinks about that, so we can vote on that. At this point, I am done, and thank you. So I would like to go to Councilman Russo, if you would, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to do a quick update and ask the governing body about the property tax program, but we did that already, Mayor. I do want to give a quick shout out to Jacob Wirtz. Before the pandemic, we had that internship program. I had an intern from Howell High School. It was a big success. For obvious reasons, we had to put the internship program on pause. But I want to announce that he just received, or accepted rather, an internship with a West Virginia U.S. Congresswoman. So he's continuing his service. If you ask him, it really started with this internship locally. And I'm very proud of him. And I want to give him a shout out and wish him the best of luck.
Excellent.
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bonovich.
You covered a lot, Mayor. So I guess yesterday I was in for a little bit and was talking to a township manager, and it's budget time. So the roads are a mess. We have to get on top of that. We have to deal with our capital. I like for all of us to get on top of the budget sooner than later. I know council, we just got our binders on Friday, and it's a work in progress, and we'll get updates week to week. But I would like to kind of summarize like what the mayor's talking about with as far as residents and as far as the budget. And I've been doing this research, and Mayor, I showed this to you a while ago. Certain towns are adding a portion of capital to their budget for residents to be involved. And it's called PB, but it's really participatory budgeting. Say that 3 times really quick. You'll have a lot of fun with that. And really what that is just us taking a part of our capital, carving out, say, $100,000, and then we put an online survey and we say to the residents, where do you want to use your money? So it gets the residents involved. If in Freehold Borough, they just did this, and the residents wanted a skate park. I know we've got emails for a skate park. So I would like to ask council and Brian, I know capital's tough, but 100,000, if we could put that in our capital part of the budget and let the residents submit ideas. And it's not something that goes on November's ballot. Basically, if we had the residents for a month, we had them submit ideas. And then we took those ideas, and our professionals and, you know, our attorney, everyone will take a look at it, community development. And if there's 20 ideas, probably 17 are off the wall, but 3 of them could be great. And then we would price out those 3, and maybe only 1 of them was great for, you know, that would eat up the 100,000, or maybe 2 of them are at 50,000. But that part would be where you could just come, you know, we'd have a voting week where these 3 things that pass muster with our professionals, we say it's a voting week where the residents can just come, get a paper ballot at the clerk's office, and just say, check off, I want the skate park. I want stop signs on Herbertsville Road, wherever it may be. Let's take the residents, take their ideas and turn them into reality. It's their money. And I like to see our residents a lot, you know, to get involved, not only for citizen advisory, for a planning board, but, you know, as far as get involved with the budget process, maybe we'll get more people engaged. So I don't think it's a lot of money, but I do think it's another way to get our residents involved with us.
I want
And,
to add to that, John, because what the beauty of this is, it goes from age 14. So even you want the younger kids' thoughts, not just the 60-year-olds or the 50-year-olds. So it goes for as long as you live in the town, you're entitled to put in a thought, and you're entitled to put in a project that you believe should be done.
It does vary, Mayor. Around, I've looked into it. There's 3,000 municipalities around the world that do it.
Right.
Some do it for registered voters. Some do it just for residents.
I would like,
Residents if they're in high school ID. So, that's great for kids for skate parks. So it really engages the community. It really does. But we would just, put those parameters out there. It doesn't have to be a registered voter. It could be a business owner. As long as they have a stake in the town, they should have a right to vote on the projects. So that's how I look. I love to do it. I throw it out to council. 100,000, we have a $5 million budget. I don't know if you looked at it. Maybe it's even more, right? It was a 5.4, Brian, and 53, sorry. But you know what I mean. 100,000 is not a lot, but it would be awesome to get the residents involved with our budget process.
yeah. Thank you for reminding me on that.
Sorry, Brian.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Thank you. Just a fast report on the Monmouth County Board of County Commissioners. The entire report is very lengthy. I understand we're supposed to be doing short reports. So I will forward the actual agenda in itself to the clerk's office, and she can incorporate that with our minutes. However, some of the highlights that I think are important to mention now is that, of course, the commissioners are, as always, trying to keep track of overdoses in our county. And again, they are enhancing their collaboration between the various departments and the divisions in Monmouth County. There has been an appointment made by the county commissioners of a Howell resident of Joe DeBella. It's a 5-year term to the Recreation, the Board of Recreation. So we have someone from Howell sitting at the table. Also, commissioners are now prepping for the mosquito control spraying operation. So that is in the works for full swing. So there'll be ahead and keeping us safe from the dangerous mosquito bites that bring different viruses to us. And as well as the county commissioners they've made an acquisition of property. And what the intent is, they're trying to make a much needed correction to the Herbertsville Road, Squonkam Allenwood Road, and the Newton's Corner area. So they will be trying to correct that for safety for the county of Monmouth. So that's important to us, considering the fact that it's in Howell. That also affects Wall in a couple of instances. And the other 50 plus issues, as I said, I will give to the clerk's office. They can be incorporated in the minutes so that everybody will have a full taste of what the county commissioners are doing. And that ends my report.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Sure, Tom.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I just got, my emails are lagging. I do have one important piece of information. Starting Wednesday, and this involves local businesses and the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. Starting Wednesday, businesses with fewer than 20 employees will have a 2-week exclusive window to apply for forgivable loans under the Federal Paycheck Protection Program. Bigger businesses will be blocked during that time period, further stating that the first week in March, the self-employed, sole proprietors, and independent contractors will qualify for more money under the program. And I'm going to ask if, Brian, can we get this information out on the website, our township website?
Sure, if you forward me whatever you receive.
It just came in, yeah. I believe Mr. Clark sent it to me earlier today, and my emails are lagging, but this information should be on the website if we can get it on there.
Tommy and his emails.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
My pleasure. Brian,
Mayor, just a few quick things. We're still tallying the costs from all of our snowstorms that keep piling one on top of the other. I don't know if you're aware, but there has been an enormous salt shortage around the Northeast. We're having a lot of difficulty restocking our supply. DPW did a great job. We were able to get 100 tons delivered over the weekend. And then we just today received an additional 350 tons. So we're well on our way to being restocked. We're still tallying the costs from that. Additionally, in case any of you have gotten some complaints, the winter weather and the plowing is taking a toll on the roads. So one particular road, West Farms Road, we are aware of the issue. Engineering is working on it. We're coming up with a plan to correct it as soon as the weather breaks. So the final thing I have, there was an edit made to one resolution. It's 9A1, recognizing the school boards. That was edited today just to include the Freehold Regional School District as well. But still substantially the same. And that's all I have, Mayor.
thank you, sir. Mr. Clark.
Nothing other than I would ask that, you forward to me your plan for the ethics board, and that Councilman Bonovich just send me sort of the concept in terms of the citizen allocation, so that I can just take a quick look over it and make sure that it's something we can do.
I'll submit bullets. It's real simple. It's not hard. We have to just agree to carve out some capital. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point, I would like to have the hearing of citizens and public comment on consent agenda items.
Okay, Mayor, I will begin. Any of them members of the public attending, if you could raise your hand, and I will move you into the room shortly. In the meantime, I had received a few emails for public comments earlier today. The first one, Dan Stinger and Joan Butcher Farkas both emailed about requesting a council meeting at a later time than 5 p.m. as they're having difficulty attending them as they're currently scheduled. Next, we received an email from Mr. John Hughes, 217 Midland Boulevard.
So can we talk about that? I mean,
Sure.
That's not the first time that I've heard people say that they can't get to the meeting because it's too early. So, I mean, even though I totally enjoy 5 o'clock, because maybe I get home by 8 instead of by 10 or 11. But I think that if this is a hardship, I mean, going back to your, the Open Public Meetings Act, I guess then we need to change the time. So we used to have our meetings at 7 or 7:30. I make the recommendation that we go back to the original time pre-COVID.
Okay.
I mean, of course, it's up to council, but if there are members out there, having an issue, then I think what's fair is fair.
Yeah, if people are having a hard time making these meetings, we should bump the meeting time back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the bumping time that we're speaking of?
Later than
7?
5 o'clock.
No,
Well,
what are we talking about changing it to?
so what time did we start? We started at 7:30, didn't we?
It
was,
6:30. Yes.
6:30 was
6:30.
executive if we had it, and 7:30 was council.
Would
Yes.
7
We do 6
o'clock
and
be
7.
acceptable to council?
I
We
would
could
do
do-
6 o'clock for executive and 7 o'clock for council. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fine.
Mr. Geegan?
The later
Yep,
it gets, I
writing
turn
it
into
out
a
as we
pumpkin.
Thank you.
Just to give a
everybody.
quick history, to remind everyone, the reason we did that was because of the governor's curfew for 10 o'clock. We had made it earlier. So that was the reason for it. It wasn't just done at random. Okay,
Understood.
moving on. Next, we have John Hughes, 217 Midland Boulevard. Council members, I'm writing to follow up on a complaint I filed on October 20th, 2020 regarding Councilwoman Pam Richmond's inappropriate behavior. I submitted a full explanation of the violations and supporting documentation to the township attorney as requested. 4 months have passed and I have never been contacted by the attorney or any outside forum that may have been investigating this issue. Was this serious issue swept under the rug? If so, at whose request? John Hughes, 217 Midland Boulevard. Want to address that, Joe?
So I'll address that quickly. First, it wasn't swept under the rug. Second, it is one of many complaints that I've received against council members, board members, committee members. That's in addition to my regular duties as the township attorney, which take up a significant amount of time. So I devote as much time to these issues as I can. I've asked outside counsel to look at it as well. I will circulate something to the governing body about all of the various issues shortly. I'll reach out separately to Mr. Hughes about his in particular.
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Please.
Giving this to outside counsel, of course, is an additional expense to the citizens. So at this point, with the format that's in place today, if my understanding has always been that if there's an ethics complaint, that a citizen can send that ethics complaint to the state. Is that not correct? Mr. Clark?
Complaints against governing body members can be sent to the Department of Community Affairs.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that if something isn't answered as expediently as someone, would like, and I understand the concern, when we have a question, we want it answered as quickly as possible. I think that's how we that's how we all feel typically. But I mean, there is an avenue, there is a process in place. And before we start giving things to outside counsel, which can, that money can, become quite a bit. I'm wondering if we might, explain to citizens what the process is so that they feel that they're being dealt with and that we're not spending money when there's an avenue in place at this time. Is that not a reasonable assumption?
That is part of the plan. So typically when you have governing body members, the question is there recourse within our ordinances? Is there recourse under the various state statutes? Is there anything that council can do? So I don't want to get into too many of the specifics, but there were a number of different things that I looked at. Typically, when it comes to an elected official, the best thing for a citizen to do is to go to the state, but Mr. Hughes had directed it to me for a response. So I thought in fairness to him, I wanted to give a thorough and complete sort of answer.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
In fairness to that, Evelyn, Councilman O'Donnell, you're correct. And, I guess the question is, would an ethics committee that we used to have in Howell solve this, or would it help this? Because, if we're having time to get, if Joe's, he's loaded with work and it takes time for us to get
Agreed.
through it.
Yeah.
Now we're telling people to go to the state. Good luck.
Well,
gonna take
no,
forever.
that
So-
wasn't my intention. Wasn't to be a roadblock. My intention was to get answers
I'm
you know,
just saying,
quicker. But
in 1990, what did you say, 1996? Mayor Berger?
96 to 2004, I think she said.
All right, so it was disbanded. Why was it disbanded? And then maybe there is a solution there where
Possibly, sure.
the residents get somewhere, or maybe they could suss it out for us, and it's less work for Joe or for all of us. I mean, it's a
No,
crazy world. I mean, we should
certainly
all
what
be
you're
called
saying makes
politics.
perfect sense, Councilman Bonovich. I guess the main theme in this is that we have to find out what would the ethics board that we put together, the ethics panel or committee, whatever the wording will be, how far do they go, and they make a recommendation, then where does that go? that
Right.
type of thing. So at that point, if they say it goes to the state, I don't know, did we help or did we just postpone? But whatever, you're right. If there's a better avenue, let's try to find it.
I agree. Thank you.
There are many policies for that program, so I think that should be easy to, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We could take part of what we have and then adapt it to what benefits Howell. So,
It'll be good to see that information. Thanks.
yeah, I
Yep.
absolutely will share that. Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
So did we answer Mr. Hughes?
Oh, yeah.
I believe yes.
Mayor,
Right,
that was
no
sent by
answer.
email. So,
Sorry.
okay, moving on. Next, I have Suzanne Brennan, 59 Camelot Drive, Farmingdale, submitted by email. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask the governing body to support legislation that you may or may not heard of. Specifically, I am asking that you consider supporting by way of resolution companion bills S2951 and A4771. This legislation would give people who have successfully completed drug court a second chance. Drug court is a rigorous treatment and recovery program with intensive supervision that lasts up to 5 years. Through this program, participants are guided through steps that will help them get clean, stay clean, and become productive members of society. People who are successful have quite literally changed their lives around completely. The legislation that is pending would allow for expungements of nonviolent crimes for people who successfully complete drug court, like Nikki Tierney. She is a Middletown resident, single mom who has raised 3 kids, an educated woman who has earned a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling with a specialization in addiction studies. She is already committed to helping others in the community, but wants to take the next step and become a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, but she can't because of a conviction for a nonviolent crime from over 10 years ago. This legislation would allow her to expunge that charge and apply for the license, which would allow her in turn to help so many others who also battle substance abuse disorder. I can't imagine anyone who deserves a second chance more. I've included a link to the text of the legislation for your review, as well as a link to a news article about Nikki Tierney. I hope that you will review these materials and consider showing your support by adopting an appropriate resolution to be shared with the governor and members of your state legislature. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'll forward those links to the governing body so you can review them.
Yes,
Thank
please.
you. Wait,
And then,
I think
Yes.
this is just like right on target with,
well, I was going to bring up what the governor did today. Would that fall under this already?
I believe that's entirely separate legislation. I don't
Okay.
think that had
Because
anything.
I'm sure you're aware, he waived a lot of penalties. So I'm wondering if this is one of it would fall under that as well.
I don't know. I didn't read the whole thing.
Moving on, the next email I've received is from a Jamie Rattian, 4 Tyler Court, submitted by email. Good afternoon. I'm writing to ask why our town does not have a local ethics board that allows residents to raise concerns about conflicts of interest in our government. If you could address this, I would appreciate it. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Jamie Rattian. That's all I have submitted by email.
So I think,
I believe we
actually, I just
discussed that.
talked about an ethics committee. So Jamie, if you were listening, that was my thought process. That's kind of funny that you're asking the question. And so once, we go through our professionals, we'll give you that information.
Okay, Mayor, now I will go on to members of the public that are participating in the meeting. Again, I'll ask you to raise your hand and I'll call on you as we go through. First, I have a Mr. Albert Miller that I'm moving into the room. Again, a reminder, there's a 5-minute rule in place, and if there's an extension requested, it'll have to be voted on by the governing body. Good evening, Mr. Miller. You can go ahead and address the council.
Hi, Mr.
Good evening,
Miller.
Al Miller, 16 Iris Court. Good evening, Mayor Berger, Deputy Mayor Russo, and council members. I'm Al Miller, President of the Monmouth County School Board Association from New Jersey School Boards Association, Vice President, Howell Township Board of Education. I come to you this evening in regards to your resolution 981, resolution recognizing and commending contributions by the Howell Township Public Schools Board of Education and Freehold Regional High School District Board of Education and proclaiming 2021 as School Recognition Year. As you know, every year, New Jersey School Board Association marks January as School Board Appreciation Month. On behalf of the Monmouth County School Board Association, we are excited to see that you have taken that a step further to proclaim 2021 as School Recognition Year in Monmouth and Howell Township. Over this past year, during this pandemic, our school board members, central office administrators, teachers, bus drivers, custodians, and many, many other staff members have been working hard to provide the excellent education Howell Township is known for, from its K-8 districts to its Howell School District. By this resolution tonight, it shows the partnership and support between your municipal government and your local K-8 and Howell districts. Thank you once again on behalf of the New Jersey School Board Association, the Monmouth County School Boards Association, for proclaiming 2021 School Recognition Year in Howell Township. Thank you and stay safe to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
Sal.
Okay. Moving Mr. Miller out. Next, I have a Miss Lauren Roth that I'm moving into the room. Again, any members of the public that wish to address the board, please raise your hand.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Miss Roth.
Hey, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I, for one, who am in the process of bringing in my groceries, would love for us to move back the meeting just slightly so that when we get home from work, we can actually sit maybe and participate in the meeting. But more importantly, I've been made aware of the multiple complaints coming through requesting looking into certain council members, certain board members, certain commissions, so on and so forth. And while I totally do support the need for perhaps an ethics council and also the legitimacy of having these issues addressed, if they are indeed true issues that do truly breach ethics and values versus just outspoken people's. And I would like to just state that I do support the women on the team here because it's very nice to see our women and we should support each other. And I think that everyone does a really good job. And I really appreciate Councilwoman Richmond's and Councilwoman O'Donnell's outspokenness and, you know, ferocity. But again, if there's something legitimate here, then yes, by all means, spend taxpayers' money. But if not, we have a lot of issues here in Howell Township that are not being addressed. A lot of drug issues going on coming from the Lakewood border because it's coming from Ocean County, which is a widely state-known issue. And we have issues with streets and roads and traffic stuff going on Route 9. So maybe we should be more focused on spending our taxpayer monies on that than on worrying about how much money we're going to spend because someone doesn't like what someone has to say. So I'm just hoping that my words are heard and that the council takes into consideration that we need to focus on the problems that are causing Howell to be an issue. And for example, I went from Walmart to my home at the Windmill Club, and there was 4 cop cars pulled over with people out of their cars searching their vehicles. So there is an issue here and we need to address that because that's the safety of our residents and the safety of our children. And that's all I just would like to say, that we should be looking into making sure that these complaints are not just because people don't like each other and that we move past that and we do what's right for Howell. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Next, I have a Rob N. moving into the room.
You hear me?
Yep, go ahead. You can state your name and address and you can address the council.
Rob Nicastro, San Lago, Nicola, Howell, Mayor, Council, good evening. Typically, I don't call in after leaving office, and I'm not calling in adversarially because, you know, I was just listening to the last meeting and a lot was discussed about the affordable housing. And Mayor, I can't agree with you more that there's no bigger way to lose public trust with misinformation. So just by way of a little bit of history, I'd just like to talk a little bit about our affordable housing, because residents called and said, what's your plan? And to be quite honest with you, you have a plan. You were part of the plan. We worked in a bipartisan way to come up with a very good plan, you and I. So I just want to talk about a little bit, so for public edification, there's 565 municipalities in New Jersey. 534 of those municipalities had a legal obligation to come up with an affordable housing plan. Howell was one of those 534. Originally, Fair Share had an obligation for Howell for over 1,000 housing units, credits. We were able to negotiate. Mayor, you were part of that negotiation, and we came in a little over 800. Neighbors like Freehold, Jackson, Lakewood, Brick, Wall, Colts Neck, I could go on and on, all have affordable obligations too. It's not unique to Howell. We had over 18 well-qualified developers who requested their properties rezoned to provide inclusive affordable housing. You and I met with them. We both agreed that our starting point for anybody who wanted to be part of our plan was a 30% set aside, unheard of in New Jersey. The law requires anywhere from 15 to 20% set aside. You and I both agreed on that, and that was our starting point to even get a discussion with the governing body to be considered. In the past, Howell spent thousands of dollars defending rights of Howell not to be part of, to have housing that we didn't want. We were credited with our plan, not only from the judge, but from Fair Share, that they were all amazed that Howell Township worked bipartisan, 30% set asides. Out of 18 developers, we agreed with three developers to be part of our plan. And that's leadership, both Democrat and Republican. We worked hand in hand on that. And we believe we picked the best projects for Howell Township. As a matter of fact, I think it was American Properties near West Farms that started to play a little games with us. You came to me and said, let's get them out of the plan. And I agreed with you. Again, bipartisan. Settlement agreements were signed. Like I said, 3 developers were selected. 2 court orders were executed confirming each of the agreements, and zoning ordinances were in place. We selected projects located on by the Route 9 corridor, not because we wanted to, but it's all part of the PA planning. Affordable housing needs to be near highways and public transportation. There's a criteria. We looked at that, okay? This was all done openly, publicly. We had meetings in schools. You talk about transparency, that you want more transparency. We took this show on the road. We went to schools. We had meetings in auditoriums and cafeterias and gymnasiums. We had hundreds of people show up. We put up things on slides, and we had special meetings. That's transparency. That's how you get the public involved. We had meetings lasting till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Excuse me, Mayor, it's been 4 minutes.
4? Do I get 5?
You get 5.
Okay. So again, no other municipality in Monmouth County was as successful as we were getting 30% set asides. Mayor, you need to take credit for that. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You worked hand in hand to get that done. To now make it sound like, our plan is bad and you and Councilman Bonovich want to go in a different direction, like something's bad and there was deals made. You were there with me. We didn't even know who the developers were when they came in the room and met with you and I and our professionals and our co-attorneys. So I just want to put it out there. It's not good to have misinformation out there. People calling in, making accusations. We worked very hard on this plan. I think we all wanted to do what was best for the town under bad circumstances. And I think you should be proud of that. And really take credit for that leadership and that effort. So I thank you for that. I hope, moving forward that, council starts to really put out the right information instead of, in my opinion, political misinformation. Guys, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, I have, oh, Barbara's hand keeps going up and down. I will put her in the room.
Back.
Okay. In the meantime, any other members of the public that wish to address the governing body, please raise your hand. Barbara, you're in the room to address the mayor and council. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. My first question is for Deputy Mayor Russo. Can you please explain more fully, briefly, but fully, the shopping thing and lot and block and what happens with the citizens? How does that work?
Lot and block with regard to the property tax program?
Yeah. Or the
I
shopping,
don't,
whatever.
I
I don't know, whatever this guy was talking about, this guy Caruso, whatever. How's that going to work with the shopping program?
Oh, Carmine, or so in a nutshell, what happens is the township puts out some money, or we can get it through sponsors that would pay for cards, and participating businesses would allow you to use these cards and obtain a discount to your property taxes.
So in other words, your lot and block are on these cards?
I don't understand. Lot and block on the cards?
Well, we were talking
think-
about citizens shopping and property tax discount.
Those are two separate things, Barbara.
Okay,
I think, Barbara, are you trying to ask how somebody will know to credit your taxes? Is that
yeah,
the
whatever,
question?
yes.
All right,
How does that work?
I remember that. Basically, the FinTech, when you sign up with them, they ask for your address. They
Right.
have it behind the scenes, lot and block. So at the end of the year, they send one payment to the town, and then it gets credited appropriately to the lot and block of the resident.
And that's not putting anybody in danger, or a lot and block of personal property or anything in danger? No, yes?
Good question. I mean, you gotta ask, gotta ask him about his software. Yeah.
The whole concept is not putting anybody in danger?
Yeah, well, Barbara, any program we choose to adopt, we would obviously make sure it's safe.
Okay. All right, second question. Your ethics committee. Yes, Howell Township always had an ethics committee. It was wonderful, and I want you to think of clergy of all kinds, physicians, school principals, and citizens. Absolutely, it was wonderful. I'm going to tell you that when former Mayor DeBella was elected, I was there. First meeting, he canceled the ethics committee and disbanded it. And I don't remember what year it was, but it was disbanded right then and there. So you need to have it back, absolutely, because there's a questionable activity going on, and it's not good. And the last meeting you had was unfortunately Councilwoman Richmond using some very unfavorable language. Wasn't nice. The next thing I'm going to ask is 9A7. Look at your agendas and they tell me about 9A7.
I can comment on this, Mayor. We had a request from our clerk for an alternate position. In doing so, that means her position is now vacant. So we are appointing somebody to fulfill that.
I'm going to ask you a question. How is that going to promote good work ethics between employees and Howell?
What was
How is that change going to promote good work ethics between employees and Howell?
I'm not sure if I'm following.
She's stepping down or she's being stepped down, whatever it is. How's that going to work? Wonderful for the clerk's office.
I think the question
I'm not
is,
following.
she's asking if we're bringing someone from the outside.
No, you're not. You're bringing Suzanne. No, you're bringing somebody from the inside. But how is that change going to promote good camaraderie or good work ethics between the employees and the clerk's office?
So, to our understanding, this is something that Allison wanted to do.
Okay,
And so I believe that Susan and Allison work well together, and they're just switching positions at this point. And I really don't think that it's anyone's business why Allison has made that decision. I just think that she's
I just was surprised. I'm very happy. Don't get me wrong. The clerk's office does a wonderful job, and I call them all the time to ask questions. They're wonderful. They do a great job, no matter who it is. I was just concerned or looking at this on 9A7 and saying, I don't understand it. But I think if that's what you want, that's fine with me. I just hope it works well
Thank you, Barbara.
for everybody.
By the way, it's been 5 minutes.
You mean, and Allison will tell you, I ask them questions all the time.
It's true.
But with the ethics committee, yes, by all means, I was there, and I was there when it was disbanded. I was at the meeting, and you need to have clergy and citizens and professionals, and it's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's see. I have a CJ Longo next. I'm moving into the room. Again, any other members of the public that wish to address the governing body, please raise your hand.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is to go off of Deputy Mayor Russo's comment follow-up before with the internship. Is that the civil engineering internship?
No, so so when I first got sworn in, we set up an internship program, or a rough outline of internship program with the high school for high school seniors. And it wasn't specific to any type of subject. It was more or less just if you wanted to get involved in local government and kind of see the inner workings of local government, you have an opportunity to work with the council member and, get a chance to kind of see up close what we do.
Okay, yeah, I saw that the only thing on the township website was a civil engineering internship, but I think it would be really beneficial to high school students and college students in the town that are interested in local government or anything. I mean, I know everybody likes an intern.
Yeah, no, listen, it was great, and it was really upsetting when obviously we wanted to take it to new heights, and then the pandemic hit, and then we were like, what do we do? So everything had to be put on pause. But my former intern, reached out to me this week, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I interned. I think he interned with Cory Booker for a short while, and then he just got an internship, like I said before, with the West Virginia Congresswoman." And he's like, it really started with us, and it was so cool to hear that.
Yeah, it's definitely really beneficial. What about virtual internships for the time being?
It's hard because nobody really knew how, when school went virtual, how an additional additional workload would kind of fare. But I think cases are going down. I'm excited to see that things are getting better. Things are opening up again, and I think that next year we should have it back up and running.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Thank you.
Is there anyone
Okay.
else?
Mayor, I don't see any other hands raised at this time.
Me either. So at this point, we will close the portion of this meeting and go on to the consent agenda items.
Mayor, I'd like to move 9A1 through 9A11 and motions 9B1 and 9B2.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. Resolution, so it has 9-21-3 X's. It's also 9C.1. Authorized transfer between budget appropriation contained in the 2020 appropriations reserve.
I
Did
would
you-
make a motion to approve 9C1.
Second,
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Authorize 9C2, Resolution 9C2, 9C.2, sorry. Authorized transfer of $450,000 from 2020 appropriation reserves for snow removal to the Snow Removal Reserve Trust Fund.
Make the motion to move 9C2.
Second?
roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. So we'll open the portion of public hearing on ordinances.
Mayor, I did get an email pertaining to O-21-1, the first ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. Emailed in by Ms. Suzanne Brennan, 59 Camelot Drive, Farmingdale. Good evening. I want to say thank you to Krista Riddle of the Howell Municipal Alliance and to the governing body for putting ordinance 0-21-1 regarding the Alliance on tonight's agenda for she put first reading. It's second. While I don't work in healthcare, I do serve my community in multiple ways that allow me to have firsthand knowledge of just some of the substance abuse and mental health challenges that so many people are working through. Most people impacted now during COVID more than before, and it seems like the impact is more profound. The isolation we feel is not only making the struggles worse, in some ways it's making it harder to get the help to those who are in need. The many efforts and initiatives of the Alliance are so important to supporting the members of the community. Changing the words on an ordinance may not seem like a big deal, but it actually is. It demonstrates that Howell recognizes the importance of working to prevent substance abuse, eliminating the stigma associated with mental illness and substance use disorder, and addressing the broad range of challenges that face our community. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve on the Alliance and to be part of a talented and committed group. Thank you again for taking the time to consider the amendments to the ordinance and for designating Howell as a stigma-free community. And moving on, I'll ask any members of the public that wish to comment on this.
I would like to say that was very eloquently said, Suzanne. Thank you.
I would agree. Any members of the public that wish to comment on ordinance O-21-1, please raise your hand. Mayor, I see no further comments on this ordinance.
Okay. Ordinance number 0-21-1, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/9/21 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of the publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 2/12/21 is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and that copies were available to the general public upon request.
title of ordinance, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 7, Section 47, entitled Alliance to Prevent Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
Is there a motion? Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that ordinance number 0-21-1 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the 2/26/21 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Absolutely. I have a question for 0-21-2. Is that struck in?
It's being carried to the next meeting, Mayor. There was an error with the Asbury Park Press with publication. So we
Okay.
need to carry that hearing. So we can
So-
move on to 10 point.
10.2, amend 188 land use, specifically Article 24 stormwater management control is going into the next meeting, just reiterating what Brian just said, so we're not voting on that. 0-21-3, 10.3, amend salary ordinance for PBA. Ordinance number 0-21-3, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/9/21 and published according to law, is now being taken up for consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 2/12/21 is submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies were available to the general public on request. May I have a motion?
May I read the title of the ordinance?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. An ordinance setting forth and amending and supplementing the salary range schedule for the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Howell.
I would make a motion that the ordinance number 0-21-3 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the February 26, 2021 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
Did you wish to open for public comment or?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Any members of the public that wish to comment on this ordinance, please raise your hand. Mayor, I'm seeing no hands being raised.
Okay.
Vote.
I'll take a roll call. Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. 0-21-4, 10.4, authorized lease of fields to Howell United Soccer Club. Ordinance number 0-21-4, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/9/21 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 2/12/21 is submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies were available to the general public upon request.
title of ordinance, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Howell authorizing the leasing of certain recreational fields to Howell United Soccer Club.
I would like to open this up for discussion.
Okay, any members of the public that wish to address the governing body on this ordinance, please raise your hand. Mayor, I'm seeing no hands being raised.
So we close, and may I have a motion?
Motion that ordinance number 0-21-4 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the Asbury Park Press of February 26, 2021, and it will be referred to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Ordinance 0-21-5, 10.3, amend chapter 188-4, definitions and rules. Ordinance number 0-21-5, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/9/21 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 2/12/21 is submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies are available to the general public upon request.
title of ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of Howell amending chapter 188-4 entitled Definitions and Rules of General Applicability of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
I'd like to open this to the general public if they want discussion.
Okay, I see Barbara with her hand raised again. I'll move her into the room. Any other members of the public that wish to address the governing body on this ordinance, please raise your hand. And
Mayor and Council, could you guys explain this? Explain what this ordinance says and what it does?
I'll jump in.
What it does?
And I'm not sure if Barbara can hear me, but the point is that we're adding the definitions of assisted living and craft distillery to the ordinance because it is a companion ordinance to the next one, which amends the uses in our HD1 zone to make them permitted uses. So the craft distillery definition mirrors that what's set forth in Title 33, New Jersey statutes. The assisted living definition mirrors what is in our affordable housing statute, and it also incorporates additional language to clarify what is and is not a permitted use in that sense. So,
Oh, and also, where assisted living, that would be along what? HD1, like Route 9?
Correct.
right, wherever the HD1 zone is, it would be a permitted use in that zone. Right now, anybody that wants to open up an assisted living facility, and we've had a few of them, have to go in for a variance.
Oh, in other words, okay, so, okay, because a lot of them, well, I guess there are 1 or 2 on Route 9s, another, okay. All right, okay. Okay. And I had questions about the other one also. In other words, HD1, this would be highway, HD1, highway development 1, and these 2 things would be permissible along the major highways.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Any other members of the public wish to address the governing body on this ordinance? Please raise your hand. Mayor, I'm seeing none. No further comments.
May I have a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that ordinance number 0-21-5 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the 2/26/21 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
I didn't read the beginning of it, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll just go after you. No issues. Ordinance number 0-21-5, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/9/21 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of the ordinance in the Asbury Park Press, issue of 2/12/21 is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that the copies are available to the general public upon request.
Title of ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of Howell amending chapter 188-4 entitled Definitions and Rules of General Applicability of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell. I feel like I did this already. I'm sorry. So we already have a motion and a second. Correct?
Yeah, I just did not read it. I just read it.
Okay, roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Ordinance 0-21-6, 10.6, amend chapter 188-77 Highway Development 1 HD Zone. Ordinance number 0-21-6, introduced and passed on first reading on 2/9/21, published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of the ordinance in the Asbury Park Press, issue of 2/12/21 is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies were available to the general public upon request. And I would like to open this to the general public.
if I may read the title real quick. An ordinance of the Township of Howell amending chapter 188-77 entitled Highway Development 1 HD1 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
Okay, any members of the public that wish to address the governing body on this ordinance, please raise your hand. I have Barbara raising her hand again. I'm moving her into the room. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. So because I don't have this, I only have 5 up to when I printed out the agenda, so I don't have this. So this number 6 is the same thing as the other 2?
This ordinance is a companion to the prior ordinance. This amends the permitted uses in the HD1 zone, and it allows for assisted living facilities and craft distilleries.
Okay, so it's directly related to the other. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
May I have a motion?
A motion that ordinance number 0-21-6 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption will be published in the February 26, 2021 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Okay. If there are no introduction of new ordinances, do we have any unfinished business?
None, Mayor.
So I would like to say that the next meeting date would be Tuesday, March 9th at 2021. Executive session will begin at 6. Correct?
Mayor, I'll reach out to the council individually.
Okay,
Based on everyone's responses, the time may change to a later hour.
okay. So at this point, it's executive at 4 and regular at 5 p.m. But if
Subjects change.
You'll subject to change.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I just want to say thank you to DPW. I know it's been a disaster out there. And I know that some people are complaining. I wanted to say sometimes the roads are not Howell's roads. Sometimes they're part of your development roads. And we did get a couple of emails that way. So I know that you're calling. Please don't be angry or upset. We're trying. It's a big town. It's a lot of snow. So just give our guys a little bit of a breather on this one. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Take care.
Have a wonderful evening.
Motion to adjourn?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would be great.
Thank you, ma'am. May I have a motion to adjourn?
You do.
May I have a second?
Second.
6:22 p.m., 6:32 p.m. Roll call.
Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes, thank you. Have a wonderful
Good night.
night.
Good night.
Bye.